Okay, well, let's kickstart the Money Show then and introduce our very first guest. I have with me Mr. P.V. Subramaniam of www.subramani.com. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Always a pleasure. So let's start off first by, this whole windfall gain topic. I think sometimes when you do tend to get a significant amount of money in your hands, it could be, in whatever way. You may have sold a property, or your parents or your grandparents may have bequeathed it to you. It could come in any form as well. There is sometimes pressure as well on you to ensure that you're properly utilizing these assets that you have received. You want to ensure that you're milking them for their worth and it's not lying idle. So what is the first thing, according to you, that individuals should do if they are lucky enough to land a windfall?
So thanks for having me, Mubina. So the first thing a person should do is put all this money in a liquid fund and sleep over it at least for 1 week. Your mind is unable to accept that you've got such a big amount, and you think you're going to get this again and again. When you say windfall, it may be once in a lifetime or maybe once in 20, 30 years, right? So this is some uncle who has died and given you the money or things like that. Because what you get from your parents is somewhat expected. It's not, what number you'll get. But suppose this is a person who is 30 years of age and has a net worth of 50 lakhs, and suddenly he or she inherits 10 crores. This is humongous. This person has never thought of this kind of money. So obviously he or she is not going to be able to understand how to handle this. Now, if the amount is lesser, suppose the amount is 50 lakhs or 1 crore, again, it's a fantastic amount because creating net worth of 50 lakhs is not easy. But getting 1 crore, which is 2 times your existing net worth, is also huge. But still, it is a number which you can comprehend. But 10 crores is not something which a person will ever be able to comprehend. So put it in a liquid fund and wait for 10 days, 15 days, whatever it takes for your mind to settle down, and then think about what to do. Don't do it on day one because you will just go and spread it around. Have somebody to talk to. So if you're 30 years of age, you will have a 60-year-old parent. If you're a 60-year-old person, you will have a 30-year-old kid. I'm just assuming. Then talk to that person, and then, like they say, 2 heads are better than 1. And preferably, if the amount is humongous and huge, go to an advisor. That is the best thing to do, because the most important thing to do is capital preservation. So from the liquid fund, you can put it into a pension plan, into a child plan, into a mutual fund by doing a STP, right? You can do all those kind of things. But day one, liquid fund, nothing else.
That makes sense. When you get such a big sum, sometimes you can't wrap your head around it. So until you're able to sort of digest the news, park it in a liquid fund, for the first 10, 15 days until you come up with a proper plan of how to go about it. And of course, the bigger the money, the more important and crucial it is that you consult a proper financial advisor who will be able to guide you in the right direction, keeping in mind all the other factors, with respect to your own financial status, etc. All right. You spoke, the first thing you said is, park it in maybe a child plan or a mutual fund, do an STP. Many a times, and we get this question quite often, that, okay, I've got this lump sum money. Should I pay off my loan first? My EMI could be a home loan or a car loan or a personal loan. I'm going to, take all of them together. I'm sure, Mr. Subramaniam, you would have a different treatment for each of these kind of loans. But the question that is asked is, should I pay off my debts first? Or, should I invest? In such a case, for somebody who's indebted, what would you recommend?
Yeah, Mubina, that's the right thing which you said. So first, pay off the personal loan, because no fund, no investment is going to give you a return greater than the interest rate that you're paying on a personal loan. Very unlikely also that you will get a return greater than the interest that you're paying on your car loan. So pay off your car loan, pay off your personal loan. Your home loan, you can still leave it. But again, the question is, what is the size of the surplus that you have got? If you've got, say, like I said, if you've got 10 crores on the net worth of 50 lakhs, obviously you pay off all the debt. But if you've got 25 lakhs or 30 lakhs, then you repay the home loan partially and keep the balance with you. One ideal way, and I've handled such things, is to say 1/3 you use to pay off the loans, 1/3 you put in a retirement plan, and 1/3 you spend on something. It's not that you will save all the money. You will want to, if you've got, say, 25 lakhs surplus, you might think of a travel to Europe trip or a world tour or something like that. So do that also. or maybe furnish your house. Something you will do. You will not just say all the money should go into a retirement plan or repayment of loan. So one third you repay loan, one third you invest for your future, and one third you spend on yourself today. I mean, you have to indulge also, right? You've got such a nice sum of money. थोड़ा indulge करो, थोड़ा save करो, थोड़ा loan repay.
So basically, one should not feel guilty really of wanting to splurge that money a little bit. Mr. Subramaniam has just given a little bit of a guidance that, you could consider one third, one third, one third. This is just an initial guidance. Of course, it depends. It will depend a lot on individual circumstances. So if it's a car loan and a personal loan, try and repay that down first, because the interest rates over there are very high. A home loan you can still keep lower on the priority list of repayment. One third invest for your future, for your retirement, etc. And it's all right to indulge a little bit with the balance money. What are the most common mistakes as well, Mrs. Subramaniam, that people do tend to make when they first get their hands on that large sum of money? Because, like you mentioned, sometimes people are not able to wrap their heads around what to do with such a big sum, and they obviously end up making some rash and silly mistakes.
Yeah, I can think of, first of all, he or she, let's assume it's a he and he's about 60 years of age. Then there could be pressure from the children saying, oh, I want to buy a car. I wanted to always do business, give me money, or the son-in-law asking for something, the son asking for something. Any of these things could happen. The wife might say, I want to, do something like this. So prioritizing just by yourself is going to be very difficult. There will be pressure from all the others asking for money, and your own self, you might upgrade something. See, buying a car is not a very sensible thing, because if you have not held a car, you do not know how much a car will cost in terms of maintenance. Buying a camera is very different from buying a car, because a car is going to ask for maintenance also. Buying an air conditioner means your electricity bill is going to go up. So check out on all those things, what you want to do, and see how much it costs to maintain it, because you have got a one-time lump sum. This does not mean your income is going up. Yes, you've only got a lump sum which you're going to use, which you can use that. But your income has not gone up, so you have to be careful. So don't overdo anything. Be calm. Don't listen to people around you. It's very difficult, because you could have, siblings, and you could have parents, and you could have children, all putting pressure on you. In fact, I have tracked a couple of people in the programs which come on television, where people receive lump sum. In 5-6 years, they wipe out 1 crore of rupees. That is because they don't know. See, when God gives you money, He does not give you money management skills. He just gives you money. You assume that now that you have money, you have become a banker. That's not true. So you give a loan to a friend and that is lost. You give a loan to a brother, that is lost. Then you yourself indulge, or you incur expenses. You buy 2 big cars, which are guzzlers, so they suck in a lot of your money, and suddenly you find that 25 lakhs is gone, and you don't have income enough to be able to support 2 big, expensive, petrol-driven SUVs. Then what do? You'll have to sell that, right? So suddenly you find that 25 lakhs came and 25 lakhs went, and you have nothing to show except 2 cars which are not fetching much in terms of resale value. Right, so these are the things which can happen. These are the pitfalls. So first, keep it in the bank, do some meditation, or keep it in the mutual fund, do some meditation, and after there is clarity, you start investing bit by bit. But make sure that your capital remains intact.
So don't succumb to family pressure. Don't indulge in overly luxurious items that will, in the end, just increase your bills going forward as well. A great example is, buying a very fancy car, which will require equally fancy bills and maintenance expenditures as well. Mrs. Subramaniam, let's talk about the investing portion. Yes, it may be just 1/3 or perhaps a little more for those individuals who don't have debt. But even 1/3, or as we can say, 75% of the figure, if we keep aside 25% for indulging, if it's a big figure, it's quite a big number as well. Then, if the windfall is big, then the 75% of that windfall as well will be big. Would you advocate a lump sum investment in mutual funds, or an STP from the liquid fund or the debt funds that you have initially parked your money in? What do you favor?
Both are okay. So if it's a 30-year-old boy or a 30-year-old girl who says very clearly, I will continue to live my life as it is, and I need this money only when I retire at 55 or 60, which means I have a 30-year view, I would straight away put it into a retirement plan with maybe 70% or 75% in equity. I wouldn't bother too much because I know I have a 30-year view and I have the ability to keep my eyes closed when there is volatility. But if I'm already 65 years of age and I don't know much about investing, then I may put money in a liquid fund. I may put some money in a balance advantage fund and some small money through a STP into a equity fund, knowing fully well that by the time I'm 75, I will start withdrawing. So it will depend on the age and the net worth of the person and the total sum received. So a person with about 10 crores, if he receives another 1 crore, it's not really too much to worry about because he's seen those numbers. But if it's a person with 1 crore and gets a lump sum of 10 crores, largely capital preservation will be the only thing, so which means a lot of government securities is what I will buy and keep my money safe because I was not expecting it. And this is huge amount. I don't have to worry about how much I put in equity, how much I put in debt, how much of tax I have to pay. In spite of all that, I will still have enough money for the rest of my life because I'm already 65 years of age. But if I'm 30, I will do a lump sum because if assuming that I know how to invest in equity. If I don't know, then I will put money in a liquid fund and do SGP. Maybe I'll put it into 3-4 liquid funds in 3-4 fund houses and do an SGP from there. But I will do an aggressive SGP. I'll try to finish all the investments in say 12 months because I know I have a 30-year view.
So just, to wrap up our conversation before we move forward to our viewer queries as well, to what extent should individuals, review their risk tolerance, their risk appetite and their goals as well if they receive such a large sum of money? Because I'm sure people have certain goals in their mind. They want to buy a house, they know that their kid wants to go abroad for a fancy education, so on and so forth. So how should one really look at receiving such a large money vis-a-vis their goals and also their risk tolerance and appetite?
Yeah, so suddenly you have a lump sum means you may not require the insurance. Suppose I have a 2 crore insurance I feel I need a 2 crore insurance for my family. And now I got a lump sum of 2 crores. Step one, I give up my term insurance totally. I don't need any more insurance because I've got this 2 crores. I will go and if I have to buy a house and I was some 25 lakh short or 30 lakh short, I would just use the money and go and buy the house. I would go and borrow lesser money. So I would do that. If I was thinking of a car, I would think twice or 10 times about whether my regular income is sufficient to pay for that maintenance. Otherwise, I would put money in more for retirement planning rather than anything else. But I cannot really prepone my daughter is in class 8. I cannot say, okay, now I have enough money for your education. You can go abroad. She'll anyway go abroad only after class 12 or after graduation. So that kind of money should perhaps be in a short-term income fund or an ultra-short bond fund because I want preservation of capital. I don't dare to lose it. So yeah, some of your goals you may be able to prepone. You may be able to buy a house today or a car today, but children's education or your own retirement doesn't really change much just because you've got a lump sum. You will still pay for your child's education only when the child is going to school, and you will retire maybe only when you are 60 and not at 55. If you're assuming you receive this lump sum at 55, you may want to continue for another 5 years, but if you don't like your job and you are anyway wanting to leave, you will use this as an excuse to jump ship and just sit at home or find a new job. So it depends a lot on each individual case, and I don't think there can be one size fits all kind of a solution.
Okay, you know what, let's now open the floor to some questions and queries then. Our viewers are advised that they can connect with us via our email address, which is themoneyShow@etnow.tv, and share any questions that they may have on their portfolio, their investment strategy. For now, let's take on board some questions already received. We have our first question coming from Mr. Venugopal. He says, I am 60 years old. Kindly advise where I can invest my monthly pension, which is around 55,000 rupees. I use only 30,000 of it for my expenses. I also have 40 lakh rupees in fixed deposit, but not using that, and 30 lakh rupees in PPF. Okay, so 70 lakhs is already lying in some fixed income instruments. His expenses at this juncture are quite low. So he's saying that the balance 20 or 1,000 rupees which is left, he would obviously like to invest it somewhere. Senior citizen, he's 60. I'm presuming that he's just retired and he's just started receiving his pension. Mr. Subramaniam, where would you start off? He's clearly a novice when it comes to equities, but he's got his FDs and PPFs.
So his FD should be redone and it should be classified as senior citizen savings scheme and Varishta Bima Yojana, which is a life insurance scheme. So assuming that he has 40 lakhs, so 15 lakhs should go into senior citizen savings scheme, 15 lakhs should go into Varishta Bima Yojana, and some more money can go in his wife's name. So straight away about 40-50 lakhs can go into those two schemes, and that is reasonably liquid. He's got 30 lakhs lying in PPF that should, he can withdraw whenever he wants, but he should just let it lie there. The other 25,000 which he has as surplus, that is 55 minus 30, he has got about 25 as a surplus. That 25 should go into a balanced fund, or maybe even to 15,000 into an equity fund and 10,000 into a balanced fund. So by doing this, what happens is he's creating some equity, and he should not touch that for at least another 5-6 years. He does not need the cash flow. He's 55,000, so minus 30, which are his expenses, and 25,000 is his investment. After 5 years, when he finds that that 50,000, that 30,000 of pension is not sufficient for his expenses, he can stop doing the SIP and start withdrawal if necessary. But remember, his pension will also continue to increase. So 55 will become 57, 59, 63. So he may have a surplus. If he does not have a surplus, he should stop investing and start spending from here. And in worst case scenario, if his pension does not keep pace with inflation and or his expenses increase because of medicines, old age, whatever, then he should start doing a SWP, systematic withdrawal plan, from this investment which he has made in the last 5 years. So he has been putting 25,000 per month. He can start withdrawing 10,000 rupees per month, and he should be able to do that for maybe 10 years at least. And by that time, his senior citizen savings scheme and all will be available for him to withdraw even the principal. So this is how I would manage it if I were him.
Okay, let's take on board our next question coming in from George. He says, what is the expert's take on child plans and retirement plans released by some mutual funds, and how are they different from a regular mutual fund? Okay, fair question. Mr. Subramaniam, what's your take here?
No, I think it's a brilliant question, because when if I say Mubina put money in this large cap fund and suddenly after 3-4 years you find that you've got 22% return or something like that, you'll be tempted to say, I've got 22% return, should I remove it? But if you're very clear that somebody has a 1-year-old child or a 2-year-old child, then he will not even consider what to do till the child turns 18 or child turns 21, which means you give it a long runway for it to grow. So you will give it 18 years or 20 years. Suppose we are talking of Mubina, who is now in her late 20s. And if she puts money in a pension plan, she's very clear that next 30 years she's not going to touch it. She's going to remove it only when she's 55. So till you're 55, you'll never look at that fund. You don't say, oh, no, this government has come, that government has come, somebody is assassinated, somebody has, Biden has withdrawn from Afghanistan. Nothing bothers you. You know very clearly that this fund has got another 30 plus years to go, because you're not going to retire before that. Or that when you want to retire, you say, okay, now let me remove money from there, right?
Great. Well, I think we're not going to take on board any more questions. So, Mr. Subramaniam, we leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining us and patiently helping our viewers as well out with their questions.
Thank you.